What is up, family? What is up, family? What is up, family? What is up, family? Welcome to another episode of the Manhood Mentor Show. I am your host. None before me, none to come, the only one. Jabar Lance Brown, the 6-foot giant reporting for duty. Yes, sir. Huh? Hello. Hello. I know I ain't talking to myself tonight, am I? Hello. Yes, indeed. Yeah. It's always an honor and a pleasure when I can get with the family and fellowship for a short while, and touch on a few things that I believe will, help bless the game in general as a whole, right? Because, it's a number of things that, is within our culture, within our society in this day and age that, I believe needs to be addressed. And it has to be addressed by the men, in order for this thing to really stick and for the adjustments to be long-lasting and permanent, it's certain examples that the men have to set, and then the women and children will follow suit. You understand? So, without further ado, tonight, in this episode of the Manhood Mentor Show, what we're going to be talking about is this word right here, wisdom. Wisdom. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about wisdom. And as I've said multiple times in the past, that this station is, geared towards empowering the men. We want to educate, edify, empower, and uplift the men. And there's no way to do these four things or even a revision of these four things without it being rooted in wisdom. Okay? We got to get back to being wise men. Where the wise men at? You understand? Where the brothers who appreciate being smart? Where the brothers who appreciate making good decisions? Where the brothers who appreciate being responsible, having high self-confidence and high self-esteem, having dignity, having pride in your family name. You understand? Having self-respect, giving others respect. Where those brothers at? Them the brothers that I'm talking to and that I want to, recreate. You dig? Because I don't believe, even with a certain percentage of men, a certain population of men who, may be struggling in these areas, I still believe there is hope for most of those brothers who making mistakes in a way that is unbecoming of their family name and of their legacy. I still believe that there's a way to help those brothers. And in order to do that, we have to start here with wisdom. With wisdom. See, wisdom is a combination of two words combined, right? It's knowledge and understanding. This is how you get wisdom. See, when you understand how to use the knowledge, then you are on your way to acquiring wisdom. All right? And like I always do, right? So let's jump into the show for the night like I always do. I always start off with a definition. And the reason that I do that is to set a standard and to set a boundary and a baseline. Because I never want anyone to say, well, he's just talking. Well, Uncle Jay just talking, man. Bar just talking. He just saying stuff. He don't, he just be up there freestyling. He talking out there. I ain't never just talking. I ain't never just talking to be talking. You understand? I ain't never saying anything, but I always got something to say. Huh? Yeah, we gonna get into it. I ain't never just saying anything. So this is the reason why I always start off with a definition so that we can all be under the same pretense of what the word means, the context that we're using it in, and that allows us to now have a baseline or a standard for, understanding what we're talking about. So now the definition for the word wisdom, okay? Let me get my stylus. All right. Boom, got my stylus, right? So the definition, right, by educational standards, right? The definition of wisdom by educational standards, the first definition, it says the ability to discern or judge what is true, what is right, or what is lasting, okay? We're talking about wisdom. Definition number one, right? It says the ability to discern or judge what's right. All right? The ability to discern or judge what's right. Okay, that's the first definition of wisdom by educational standards, by the dictionary. Okay, I got this dictionary from dictionary.com. I got that app on my phone. I use it a lot because I like to educate myself to make sure that I know what I'm talking about before I start talking, right? So the second definition of the word wisdom, okay, that's what we getting into. We getting into wisdom. How to acquire wisdom, how to use it, what it look like. We getting into wisdom, right? And this is super important for men because we got to get back to being men, right? We got to get back to being the type of men that other people can emulate and that other people can look up to. When you walk into a room, it's a marvelous feeling when you walk into a room and you know people in the room respect you. You know people in the room admire you. You know people in the room look up to you. It's a marvelous feeling. And no, we're not doing this for the acceptance and the respect of others, but it starts with you. You see, the more wisdom you have on display in your own life, you're going to accept and respect yourself even more. Right? Now, the second definition for wisdom is to have common sense and or good judgment. Okay? To have common sense and or good judgment. Okay? To have common sense and or good judgment. And the third definition, the third and final definition that we're going to use for the word wisdom is one that I believe is more suited to my understanding of it, right? The third definition says the ability or result of an ability to think and act, utilizing knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight, right? The ability or result of an ability to think and act, utilizing knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. Now, that's a long definition, so I might have to shorten that. Okay. I'm gonna say the ability. Okay, hold on. Right, I got you. We're gonna say the result of an ability. Okay, to think and act. Okay. Utilizing, right? Knowledge, experience, and understanding. Right? Okay. Now that we got the definition out of the way, you see, most of us, if we seen an example of wisdom, we wouldn't even know what it looked like. If the example of wisdom was staring right in front of you, would you even know what it looked like? Right? And for many of us, the answer is no. Why? Because our culture has shifted. Right? The culture that we living in promotes ignorance opposed to promoting wisdom. And it didn't used to be like that. You understand? The culture and the society that we live in is promoting ignorance as opposed to promoting wisdom. And the culture has shifted right in front of us, so much so that if we seen an example of wisdom right in front of your eyes, you wouldn't even know what it looked like. Now, we could look at the entertainment channels that we use in our culture, right? Look at the entertainment channels. You got YouTube, you got the music, you got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got videos, all of these different channels and mediums to transfer images and information are primarily used to promote self-destructive behavior, unwise behavior that shows the lack of knowledge and understanding. Okay? And we're not saying within reason, right, within moderation, but any one of these mediums that I just named, you can go on that particular medium, that particular social media and medium, and look at ignorance all day long, or listen to it all day long, right? And if you don't think that these images and these words has a lasting effect on your subconscious and on your decision making, you sadly mistaken, right? Now, why do you think our culture has shifted to promoting ignorance as opposed to promoting wisdom, right? Right here. Why do you think our culture has shifted toward promoting ignorance as opposed to promoting wisdom? Okay, I'll tell you why, right? It shifted because ignorance in itself is expensive. Huh? Ignorance is expensive, right? It's expensive for the person being ignorant, right? If that is you in that particular instance, and it's expensive for those machines or companies or corporations or people to promote ignorance so that the after effect of that ignorant behavior can benefit those people. You understand? You understand? See, this is not by coincidence. It's more or less by design, right? The ignorance that's being promoted in our culture nowadays is not by coincidence. It's more or less by design. And it's designed to capitalize on the ignorance of men because manpower is lucrative, whether it's free or whether it's in bondage. Huh? Manpower is lucrative no matter how the power gets used, right? And we see this day in and day out from the people who end up in the penal system. They still got to work, but they working for free. Or the people who may be working and earning an income that's beneath their ability, right? Or utilizing their skill set far less than what they expected to coming out of school or coming out of college, and now they not being compensated at the proper income level, right? Ignorance. Ignorance is expensive. So this is why it's promoted in the way that it's being promoted, right? Now, I was ignorant at one point in time in my life, right? When I caught my first felony charge, right, on my criminal record, I was ignorant. And I was ignorant to how the judicial system worked and how the penal system worked. So what the law enforcement agency was saying that they caught me with, they didn't actually catch me with it. You understand? But the possibility of me being convicted for what I was accused of at that time was far greater than it was for me to take the chance to defend myself against those false accusations. Right? And I was taking counsel from my family members as well who were ignorant to the judicial system and how things worked. So even though in some regard I was wrong, in essence, for the crime that had been committed, but what they were saying that they caught me with or that was a part of my case was actually untrue. But I took a plea deal in the event for being ignorant. And that ended up with me having a permanent felony charge on my record that I should have never got initially, right? Had I been more educated about the judicial system. See, ignorance. Being ignorant in that time, ignorance is expensive, right? Needless to say, when I had my second run-in with the law back in 2003, I was more wise. You see, I had better knowledge and I had more understanding of how to use the knowledge that I had in my possession to display wisdom in that second encounter with the judicial system, and I ended up being vindicated and coming out on top. Now, I'm saying all this to say is us as men, we must get wisdom at all costs. At all costs, we must get wisdom. Or else, ignorance is going to get the best of us as a whole, right? And we got to stick together as men to help reinforce and re-empower ourselves, right? Now, we got to get back to creating a standard of wise behavior and a standard of good judgment, right? Because it's clear that the general populace has an alternative motive geared at the men. And we see this in the behavior and in the activities that are promoted in mainstream media, right? They always promoting for you to do something ignorant and for you to participate in self-destructive behavior. Why? Because it's expensive for you, but it's beneficial for the person who capitalizing on that behavior. right? What we want to do is we want to undo the social programming that's been done to you, right? And the societal and cultural programming that's been passed down to most of us by our parents and by our families inadvertently. See, we got to undo that. You understand? See, and this is not to disparage any of our family members, because a lot of them didn't know, right? They were programming us to survive because they seen how hard it was for their parents and their family members. So when they had us, they were programming us to survive. So they weren't trying to program us to be unsuccessful. But as times change, we have to change with the times. That's just the nature of the game, right? When they say somebody is outdated, right? When they say somebody is old, they really not talking about old in age. They really talking about underperforming or outdated or not being able to perform at a certain level that they used to, or that's necessary for you to still be current and relevant. You understand? That's really what they mean, right? But those of us who have been programmed to survive, now that we've survived, it's our duty to now reach back and undo some of that self-destructive, self-sabotaging programming that has been passed on to many of the men, right? To too many of the men, even the youngsters nowadays, right? We see a lot of the young brothers nowadays that, you know, they dress a certain way, they walk a certain way, they talk a certain way, you know, they indulging in activities that promote destruction of yourself, right? And what we got to do to correct that behavior is reestablish a standard of wisdom, right? It used to be cool to take care of your family. It used to be cool to have dignity, to have pride in yourself, to have self-respect, to have high self-esteem, to have high self-confidence, to be responsible with money. Huh? It used to be cool to have a good reputation, to have a good family name. You understand? It used to be cool to have all of these things. Why? Because we had a culture of wisdom during that time. You see? The men used to read and used to study and used to collaborate with each other to help empower, edify, educate, and uplift one another, because they understood the importance of acquiring wisdom, sharing wisdom, and reinforcing it amongst one another. See, they understood that, and we got to get back to that, right? We got to do away with this culture of perennial childhood. We got to do away with this culture of perennial childhood. You're not a child anymore. You understand? See, when you become 18, you're an adult. You ain't grown yet. You ain't grown until you've grown enough to take care of yourself and others. So you're an adult at 18, right? Transitioning forward from that point, you should be getting better as a man and getting wiser in manhood. Huh? Hello, I know I ain't talking to myself. Hello, I know I ain't talking to myself. As you progress through manhood, as you progress through the stages of adulthood further into manhood, you should be getting better at manhood. You should be getting better at displaying wisdom in manhood. You should be getting better at being wise in having command over money, at getting wise in building relationships, at getting wiser in being a better leader, and getting wiser in being a better businessman, and getting wiser in being a better steward, and getting wiser in being a better mentor to the other young men who coming up behind you. You see? This is how this thing works, right? Wisdom is one of those things that in manhood is the cornerstone, right? Wisdom in manhood is the cornerstone. Why? Because the man is responsible for the legacy of his family. See, your family and your legacy is attached to your name. Huh? You got to be wise in building and establishing your name and your relationships. Huh? And your leadership. Huh? Come on now. We talking. We talking. You understand? We got to get back to creating wise men. See, this lesson here was for the wise men, for the brothers who understand the importance of wisdom and who know that in order for you to truly be successful in manhood and to sustain yourself throughout the course and the duration of your journey in life, You have to acquire wisdom, and you have to allow that to be your cornerstone in everything that you do. See, I'm going to tell you something. Those people who get wisdom and know how to use it, they are the ones who capitalize on opportunity. Now, I'm not talking about worldly wisdom where a person exploits you. You know, he finds a way to beat the system and juggle you and beat you out your money or beat you out your reputation. You know, I'm not talking about people using worldly wisdom for nefarious means. What I'm talking about is having a standard. Having a standard of character, honor, integrity, morals, principles, values, and understanding how to encompass all of those things with wisdom and carry that wisdom now to multiply those things into you having the legacy and the lifestyle that you truly want and deserve. You understand? See, we here to recreate a standard of wisdom in our community and put the wise back in the wise men. Until the next time. Huh? Hello.